Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run come give me the roots and culture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run come give me the roots and culture. Bone vampire entire.
It's passion. Give me. Alright. I love to feel your body when it's close to mine. When you and I become as one, it sends a thrill to me when we move to the melody. Come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your way, you raise my passion. Yes, come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your way,
Burning. Tell you what I want. When the Rasta man them come together like the torch and the wicked catch a fire. Tell you what I want. When they get to you, them try fi better, and the system try fi turn them in a shatter. Tell you what I want. One Babylon, highly Selassie rain down, lightning and thunder. Tell you what I want. Tell you what I want. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stars among stars. We. Lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes! Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie, this one is international.
Greetings,
Yeah,
greetings.
greetings. Good night, and of course, welcome to the conversation. Yep, happening every Tuesday. Apologize for the late start again this evening. Of course, as you notice, one of the members of the panel is missing. He's going to be here. He's going to join us a little later on in the program. But before we kick off tonight, gotta have the disclaimer. The disclaimer says the views and the inputs of the panelists do not reflect those of the management and staff and advertisers of Majestic Music Radio, and are strictly for entertainment purposes. But as we say, you can verify by also going and check, ensure that what they're saying or what we're saying is valuable to you. All right,
Sure.
so we're gonna kick off tonight. Of course, tonight's topic is politics meets entertainment, part 2. Because we did have a part 1 dealing with the industry.
Yes,
And,
the structure and everything else in between.
Yeah,
But
how it
highly
intersects.
anticipated aspect of how we break down information. People continue to ask for more, so we make sure we had to come back with a part 2, of course, with also new information. All right.
Yep.
So we have, before we get into the details of things, you want to start off with the elephant, Malachi, that we've been dealing with in the background?
Which would include the video. No, I was gonna deal with that a little later on.
All right.
Let's deal with where politics intersects entertainment for real.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for a fact now, um, we haven't heard much from the artist um, about anything really, and
Correct.
I'm wondering, why that total, you know, hush, no um, conversation at all, no advocacy, no. I'm kind of
No,
wondering
no.
what happened. No, nothing. I'm wondering what happened to the people, what really happened, because there was so much talk at one point in time. Even when we decided to, say, okay, um, let's see how long a particular drive to
Mm-hmm.
promote Guyanese music was gonna last, and it really didn't last long. Let's be realistic about it. It didn't last long,
Well, main one
and
did end. So
yeah, it came to an end. Um, and we didn't, like I mentioned, and you know, I I know persons like Gordon Mosley supported what I had said, because he was the one who mentioned. He said, I'll give it till May,
yes.
and I was the one who was saying, okay, well, let's see how that plays out, because we're hoping that, you know, yes, he is a he's making a point, but let's see um, how it's going to work out in terms of, are the Patriots going to stick it out, or are they going to halfway through it give up?
Mm.
So, when I mentioned it, and people felt, some people felt offended that, they were doing, according to one young lady who was, very, I don't know how to call it.
I say vocal.
Yeah, let's say vocal, right? About how could I say that? And she's one of the persons who support Guyanese music and Guyanese artists.
Mm.
And I'm trying to explain to her, I think you missed my point, but I don't think she got it. But the funny thing about it is that the, she's telling me that I'm saying the wrong things and not supporting the artist. But at the same time, videos that are produced by me are on her page. And she can't read, because if she just look at the titles when the video is being introduced, if
Mm.
you look at the titles, you'll see my name right there. And this is the funny thing about our people. We like to jump and say things, but we don't have any facts,
Yes, sir.
and that creates lots of problems for us as a people. So we're hoping that at some point in time they change that type of thing, because it doesn't really um, serve us well. If you understand what I mean, it doesn't serve us well as individuals trying to, make our country look good, and also to develop our nation. It doesn't really look good at all.
So overall, right, Malachi?
Hmm.
Now we know because we're in the background that certain things is missing. As you would have mentioned, the whole hullabaloo of everybody campaigning like them as politicians, right?
Hmm.
For the
Yeah.
development or the betterment of the Guyana music industry or entertainment industry in general, which
Hmm.
we've seems to have a steady problem with, right? Because up to yet we can't have proper documents be presented, a proper representation, and these are the things.
Hmm.
Now, why is it that when we speak out, people would want to come and all of a sudden pick up the mantle and
Hmm.
think that, well, hey, we've been carrying this here forever. Now, it's okay to carry the mantle forever. We
Hmm.
have no problem with that. At least I have no problem with that. But at the same time, don't pretend like it's you alone been doing this thing by yourself.
No,
So
a
my
matter of fact,
concern,
no, no. Well, let me put it over like this,
mm,
and it's blatant. A lot of the people who say they have been doing something, if you ask them for a record of what it is they'll be doing, and we're not talking about a falsified idea or a glorified idea of what you think you did, but we're talking about actuality, what you actually did that people
Mm-hmm.
recognize and know about. And I think this is the biggest problem with what we have in terms of developing culture in Guyana,
Yes.
because we lack that um, that particular understanding of, okay, we've got to be basically truthful and straight up with our dealings. We prefer to say, okay, now listen, let's do it this way. Let's fabricate a story. All right, let's fabricate a story and believe, because Guyanese have short-term memory, that hey, it can work. You
Mm.
understand? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna fabricate a story, and because we are dealing with a group of individuals who, I don't know, I think it's I don't know what kind of memory to really call it, but the memory of these individuals is really short. And when I say short, I mean extremely short, because something will happen 6 months ago and it will be totally erased from the minds of, you know, the
Yes.
people in Guyana. It just flies out of their brain. And you're wondering, wait a minute, isn't this the same set of people who were saying this about this particular issue? Now they seem to have made a total um,
360 change.
360 change, or maybe amnesia step in and wipe their brain clean of a particular thing. Because while I'm talking about that, I've been talking on radio about we don't see politicians in Guyana being prosecuted, brought before the court, and we don't see them being punished for a lot of this stuff that they have done. For example, during the election time, there was the attempt to rig,
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't seen um, any real development in that area of dealing with those people who were involved in election rigging. You know, um, and these are a lot of the funny things that is different in other territories versus Guyana. Because if we look at Guyana's history, you don't see. Could you show me at any point a politician that has gone to jail for wrongdoings?
Hmm.
We don't seem to have a culture of accountability. And because we don't have that culture of accountability, things seem to slide. And individuals seem, okay, well, it's okay to get away with doing certain things a certain way, you know. But accountability is a big part of what we lack in Guyana. And it's going to create more issues if, for example, um, the recent issue with the Americans and what they stated about the gold smuggling and the the rich family,
Mm.
you can see that we have a problem with corruption. It makes no sense for let's say the government to duck their heads in the sand and say, okay, it's not happening. It is happening. Um, what needs to happen is the system that we were talking about, and we, I think, introduced to them. I don't think we introduced it. I think they know about it. It's called Performance Management Systems, the PMS system. And once they have that top to bottom, bottom to top type of system, management tier system running, I think that level of corruption where you found um, um, the involvement of somebody who is in a ministry, that would not have happened.
Correct.
So there would have been checks and balances. The minister would have known all her doings. she would know all the stuff that he was doing as well, because we have this culture of sole power must reside in, like, because we're accustomed to this type of dictatorship. We're even allowing spreading out the powers to different regions seems to be a big issue in Guyana. You understand? Because it took us quite some time to have immigration offices in other areas where people could actually go get their immigration passport, get their passport, you know. So these are some of the things we have to stop centralizing, um, and saying, okay, all power resides in one person or in one office.
One area, yeah.
Exactly, because once you have that, as we mentioned several times, power corrupts. And if you have individuals who are there for a lengthy period of time, regardless of how you look at it, power is going to corrupt them. The mere fact that they have that power for so long, at some point in time, they're going to use it in a way that is not supposed to be used. So before that happens, you have to have those checks and balances in place to ensure there's accountability. So every move they make, they have to account for that move. And if not so, they are then, investigated. And if found culpable for any misconduct, they're removed from the post.
I think the government waits until something big comes out and it
Yeah.
hits the media with the impact, like the situation with the one minister and the rape accusations and these are the things,
Hmm.
right? So I think the
Yeah.
government wait until let we see what's going on, because you can't tell me we're all friends or comrades, as they like to call it,
Hmm.
and we don't know what is happening behind the scenes, right?
Hmm.
For instance, we see it in the PPP, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
also seen the same thing played out in the PNC,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Whereby the opposition leader was accused of certain things.
Hmm.
Now, we don't know directly if these things are 100% factual,
Well, that
but that is,
accusation died. That accusation against the opposition leader died a swift death.
well, that is the thing. False information kind of lives a little longer, in my opinion,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because if we compare the two situations, how far apart is it between the minister or the ex-minister actually and
Hmm.
the current opposition leader? It is not
Hmm.
that far off. It is same line of accusations. Unfortunately, one had a little bit more on his plate, right? But at the
Hmm.
same time, it's the same thing come out. People
Yeah.
came out and said their parts. The abusers or the victims, I want to say, came out and said their part. The
Hmm.
alleged abusers came out and said their part, and the public ate it up.
Hmm.
Now, was it because it was being peddled by so-called influencers on the current government side, right? Whereby influencers was peddling this information saying that the ex-minister did this because they would have broken the story and these sort of things. Was
Hmm.
that the case? And why is the opposition side, why is it died? Why have it died so fast?
Hmm.
What
You
happened?
well. I mean, anybody looking on as just an observer from the outside,
Mhm.
not taking sides, just looking at the dynamics, you could see that. You could see that
Well,
that one
I
died. That one died a swift death.
I understand that it didn't make sense when I listened and I read certain things that was put out there. I
Mhm.
figured to myself that, hey, this ain't really adding up,
Yeah, yeah. It
right?
was. It wasn't coming together.
But at the same time, what do we do with the accusers?
Hmm.
Are we allowing people to roam scot free when you would have tried to tear a man's character down?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because we know in the public eyes, you can them is things you can't come back from as a man.
No, you can't. It's not something you live down unless the same fervor in which it was used to destroy you, you're then vindicated and the same amount of time that was spent in the news and all of that, including that person's public apology, that may bring a percentage of that mindset that people would have,
Correct.
you know, had about you after such an accusation. So, I mean, it is not an easy thing. But then again, it is something that basically, I would say, what goes around comes around.
Mm.
Because at one point in time, we both know the opposition had their persons on social media that were keep stoking the
Correct.
fire about Darrell and the rape and the rape and the rape. And to this day, because I like to deal with legal, what's actual evidence and not actual evidence in the court of Facebook,
Mm.
because a lot of people believe that saying certain things and behaving a certain way on Facebook actually affects the legal system. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So I suggest for those people who live in that delusional state of mind, believing that somehow, um, you know, your opinion on a particular situation matters versus the evidence in the court of law. It's a whole different ball game. And I think
Mm-hmm.
this is what has happened to a lot of these, what a lot of the social media influencers have kind of drummed up and stirred up in Guyana. We're hoping that at some point in time there's a measure of sanity, because while they're doing all of these crazy things in the lead up to the elections, we have over 112,751 visitors to Guyana, you know, and this is in the period from January to April. So Guyana has, look at the amount of people coming into Guyana. All right. And this is based on the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. This is their information from their website. And if you have 112,000 people coming in to your country, and you are behaving as though you are you're now learning things, you're operating never see come for see.
Mm.
Because when we look again, and when we talk about entertainment meets politics, one of the things that I have been advocating for is that the creatives, quote unquote, should look at politics from a different perspective and direction now, seeing that, okay, going out there on Facebook and stuff is not getting the desired results from the powers that be, then you have to basically hit them where it hurts the most. And where it hurts the most is in the vote.
Yep.
All right. So what we have to, as the creators, we have to understand how many of us it takes to put or to make a seat in parliament. All right. So once we understand that we have to get 5,000 votes in order to get a seat in parliament, the next step is to organize ourselves. All right. That's the step. So we've got to organize ourselves. And we're not only talking about artists, writers, writers of books and songs, plays, actors. We're talking everybody, photographers, um, videographers, editors. All of those people come under graphics editors. All of these people come under the creatives.
Creators. Yep.
So once we start to educate the creatives across the nation about what they need to look at as their rights and what they're losing, which is $1 billion US industry we're losing, all right, because our politicians are unwilling to look at that issue. This is where the issue of politics and entertainment really clashes, because the entertainment in Guyana is adversely affected because of the political moves or the inability to understand the IP law issue and deal with it, which would create an enabling environment for the creatives. Because a lot of the entrepreneurs who are out there who are creating designs for furniture and all of them have to get on board with that.
Yep.
All right. So I remember at one point in time, right through Charlotte Street, I'm forgetting the name of the lady's business, but she used to design some furniture which was uniquely Guyanese. All right. She used to have a chair which they used to call the Demerara chair. There was a something rocking chair, but they had unique names. And they had a collection that she used to do of like sofas and stuff that was, again, uniquely Guyanese. All right. Now, all those things are fading out. And you can tell when a marketplace is being adversely affected in a certain way. I'll tell you this. Every business person on this conversation knows that the first thing, if a recession is happening or any economic problems are happening, the first thing you cut is the advertising. All right. The first thing that is cut from businesses in order to keep money is advertising. When you're booming, you advertise. You have to advertise so that you get more clientele and more people being patriotic to your service or commodity that you're selling. All right. Now, we don't understand these very, I would call them basic concepts.
Small
Henceforth,
things, man.
yeah, this is why I think we are left in this position. But just to go back to my point, we have to understand there is power in the numbers. So once we understand, especially the creatives, that we need to come together as not, we can't form a PRO unless we have that legislation. What we can do is to form a body that now affects the voting, because it's very important. If the politicians are not going to put in their manifesto for 2025, okay, we're going to be looking at this issue. Because I see a lot of smart people on. Let's look at the opposition party. All right, I have family members who would contact me and say, Malachi, what do you think about Amanza? All right, and I would say Amanza seems to be intelligent. All right, but I've listened to Amanza's presentation in Parliament, and she's made some statements and stuff. I'm like, huh?
No, makes sense.
It didn't come together. And I'm wondering, why would very smart individuals say nonsensical stuff? You know? And you really can't explain it. But then at the same time, when I asked my family members, I said, so why haven't the opposition looked at the issue of IP? Because a lot of the quote unquote people who are their supporters have family who are artists. So my after saying these things, I know for a fact that there's a lack of education about the issue, about their rights. They don't know. So if you are properly educated about your rights, which I think the government should be doing and educating the population about their rights, which would include the IP law rights, all right, then we as a body could come together and say, okay, well, let's look at the next party who's going to be governing. Are they putting in their manifesto the issue of IP laws so that the entrepreneurs, the creatives, all the people who operate outside in 9 to 5 working with a company can do, and they can exist and survive? Because this is if you don't have an enabling environment, this is where a lot of criminal activity will happen, and that's a fact. Because once people are unable to get the basics, we're gonna have problems. And everybody is not made to do construction jobs. Everybody is not made for certain things. Yes, we do have a construction boom in Guyana, but unfortunately, everybody's
It won't
not.
last forever.
It wouldn't last forever, and unfortunately, everybody's not into um, construction. I'm not.
Correct.
That's not
Well,
my particular skill set.
I am a little bit, but that is not where I want to be, because the reason I never actually got into construction directly is because I didn't want to be in the sun 24/7, right? So I picked a very nice area of business,
Hmm.
one that I believe was very lucrative also, and I
Yeah.
went into the kitchen and I learned to face the fire, as they say, in the kitchen,
Hmm.
and I made my name in that area, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you see the thing with Guyana, Malachi, our people for some reason lack the understanding, they lack the energy, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know, if I want something as bad, I will do everything in my power to get that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But for most Guyanese, when we want something, we, oh, God can give it to we. And we sit back and we behind and we chill out and we wait on everything. And then there's the other set, of course, who go and get it the wrong way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, what do we do for our people? What are we putting in place for our people? These are some of the things that bothers me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I am scrolling through social media and you will see the vice president post up with the known comedian guys, actors,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You would see the president taking pictures and supporting various games, whether it be football, cricket, that would have just went off,
Yeah.
um, different sports. We got so much thing in Guyana that
Mm-hmm.
the government officials support directly. And then we also have their family members who are in these things.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me?
Yeah.
Now, how is it the president could walk around with friends or have friends in the entertainment business or the sports and entertainment business, but don't look at your friend and say, you know the issue y'all facing over there? Tell me more about it. Let me see what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Same thing for the vice president. I'm not sure who is the prime minister's circle, but I'm pretty sure you got a niece, a nephew, or somebody who does sing, who does write poem,
Who's
right?
model?
Who does do anything in the sports and entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And
They have
you
somebody
in
in there.
doing nothing directly to affect their life in a positive manner on a
Mm-hmm.
longevity aspect of things.
Yeah.
Because I could come out and play cricket. All Guyanese could come out and play cricket. And which one are we going to decide that we can step back because we've reached our level and then we can go make we own cricket ball? For instance, Dwayne Bravo, I believe he was known for a good bowler.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a fan of cricket, but yeah, I could correct me if I'm wrong, all right? Right? He
Mm-hmm.
was known as a good. We have some of the best batsmen that is Guyanese. We have some of the best wicket keepers that is Guyanese. At any given time, these men could step out and say, well, let me create a cricket ball. Let me create my own line of cricket bats. Let me
What about
create my own line
my
of
own line of clothing?
equipment. All right,
Yeah.
then. Now, they will be able to license and patent and trademark their stuff outside of Guyana only.
Yeah. Outside.
Right? Now, the problem is, at which point in time they're going to decide, well, am I going to sell the in Guyana because, or we could set up a factory in Guyana because it is profitable. They can't make no money off of anything of this sort because they literally cannot make any profit from it, or at least a long-term profit. Because as we know, IP lasts forever as long as you keep it up to date with registration.
Correct.
And even if you don't keep it up to date, the very next person, which most likely is your enemy, is going to come and grab it up from you.
Of course.
So
Because that's
again,
what it's about. Business. It's not a game.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The president would come and give a remarkable speech. The opposition leader would come and do the same thing. People in parliament would come and do the same thing. At which point in time, anybody ever thought, I could actually make money after this speech? Because this is stuff that happened in America.
They let me show you how people see stuff, but they just go like through their head, through their ears, like they don't see it. Now, how long ago Dr. Martin Luther King died?
A while.
Good. Now, they don't even have a clue that his foundation makes money off of the "I have a dream"
Of
speech.
course. Of course. We think a dream no make kinds. It goes the same way for the church with me, Malachi. Right?
Hmm.
And this is for the viewers, listeners. It's the same way in a church, how you operate a church. In my opinion, and again, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not always right. But this is where we are here to learn. A church
Hmm.
should be run like a business.
No, but the church is a business. The only thing with the church is that they don't get taxed.
Well, all right then.
It's a
But
business.
people would want to run a church in like they run the house. And I just tell people, I don't go to church. I can't go to church because it's not being functioned correctly. The basics is not being handled correctly. Now, I understand when I come and I gotta give me tithes and offering, but are you giving me back a document if I make a major donation and say, well, because I donated so much money, like our big famous Krung Prince, as some just call it,
Mm-mm.
when people like they'll give major donation, who is
Hmm.
giving them back a tax document saying, well, hey, this is a tax write-off?
Hmm.
Because all donations are a tax write-off. Let's say I donate a song, right?
Hmm.
That also should be tax write-off. Because
Well,
I'm donating my IP, I'm donating my future royalties.
hmm,
You understand me? It's just like
yeah.
if you carry to the bank and sell it, the bank can still put interest on that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if you don't pay it off, the bank now could leverage your catalog as a musician.
Hmm. Hmm. Well,
Same thing for clothing brand and everything else. Go ahead.
I think at one point, we had discussed this whole link with apparel and copyright and music,
Mm,
when we had explained how Nipsey had done it,
yes.
with the barcode and the T-shirt with the music link and all of that. There are many ways to do certain things. All right. But what I think we in Guyana need to kind of get with the program is understanding first, and I have to go back to it at all times. In order for us to really make the impact that we need to make, which would be on the government,
Hmm.
flat, we have to come together. Um, First, to educate, because you and I both know we have other members of our team who are not in Guyana, and they have said that the drive should be to educate the
Correct.
the masses on their rights, because once they understand their rights, especially for those in the creative field, then they will make a lot more advocacy for it. And in that grouping, and I think a lot of the business people have to join that group as well, because, for example, there is a lady I know that creates barbecue sauce here in Guyana, and it's all over the world. It's even in Dubai. All right. Now, those individuals who are into manufacturing are the persons who need to come on board, and they're also in the business sector. They are supposed to be lobbying with the creatives as well for
Hmm.
IP laws. So once that group comes together, which includes business people, the creative people, all of us come together, it's way more than 5,000. It's way more than a seat in Parliament. So really, the goal is to get like 10,000 to 15,000 of us just in Georgetown alone. Because I know if we do a consensus in Linden, it's gonna have just about more than that. And this is
Mm.
based on our knowledge with people who play bands, people who are into organizing certain things. Those are all under the umbrella of the creatives, because promoters fall in that line. All of those people there. All right. So if we understand what our rights are and how IP affects our lives and what it is that we're doing, and how not having IP puts us in a disadvantage, we then understand, okay, well, listen, if the politicians not listening, this is what we'll do. Whoever has it on their manifesto that's actually going to look at the issue and table it in Parliament and to have it passed, that's where our 15, 20,000 votes will go, which would be just about, well, I was saying one
Three
first, but I
seats.
saying, yeah, the 3 seats can be, 3 to 4 can make a nice impact because we
Mm.
know the opposition can get some, the PPP, the ruling government is going to get some,
So
right?
so let
So
me
we
let
just
me
want
nice
that.
it up a bit. Recently, they had a meeting, right?
Mhm,
In with the vice president, whereby the
uh-huh,
president also attended. Let me pull it up directly. But they had a little gathering, which was nice. I thought of it. It was very
mhm,
nice. It looked like it went off very nice also, right?
yeah.
But since we are on the topic of getting seats and needing seats,
Mhm,
right? The vice president them would have put in place because of their recent local or interbody elections and appointing new members and all these things, candidates and things, they
mhm,
they they would have said that, well, we're going to create a youth sector
mhm.
within the PVP, right?
A youth arm.
So yes,
Yeah.
so I listened a part when he briefly spoke and he mentioned he's looking at just about 5,000 people.
Mhm,
Now, as you would have mentioned, 5,000 people would add a seat. So if we are creating a youth arm and youths come from the age of 12 to about 25, because as much as they big, they still small in brain, right?
mhm,
Unfortunately. But even when we look at the voting youths,
mhm.
18 to 30, right?
Yeah.
All of us should be coming together within this youth arm and learning and say, well, there's no problem joining the PPP because I don't see a problem joining them. I believe they've been doing a fairly good job.
Mhm.
But have they been able to gather everybody in the right direction at any given time? No. Without passing out a sum of money? No. Because while I do like the aspect of collecting a little bread, I want to know, well, after you come out of power, after your party may have changed over, what's going to happen to me? Because if at the age of 30, I am fighting for intellectual property rights because I know IP keeps me living even when I'm dead.
Exactly.
And I mean that in the concept of if I'm making money today, I am still making money when I turn 100 years old, when I turn 200 years old in the grave.
Here why I mean education in that particular area is very important. And we see this in media. This is what is affecting media as well in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have people at the helm of, let's say, NCN that don't have the basic concept idea of what IP is all about,
Hmm.
we're lost
Fargan.
because you can't be at the helm of the National Communications Network and not understanding the mandate of what that is supposed to be doing. All right. Um, that brings me to a particular issue because I saw an article in the I saw it in the news, I saw it in the newspaper and stuff where the ex CEO of NCN, and just let me read that article while I'm at it. The ex CEO of NCN. Uh, so this article was Tuesday, 12th January 2016. It came out on Demerara Waves, and it says last updated Tuesday. Da, da, da. The chief executive officer of Guyana state-owned National Communications Network (NCN), Molly Hassan, resigned Monday. Chairman of the board, Bish Pandey, declined to comment immediately on the, the resignation. Hassan
Mm.
would only confirm that she resigned voluntarily and that she was not asked to do so. Right? That's just the first aspect, this first part um, of that article, which deals with her resigning from NCM. Now, before I, continue, one of the things that I love to deal with, and I like to deal with it straight on and head on, is dealing with factual information. All
Mm.
right, because when we go on the radio or we on our podcast, we usually tell people, well, listen, fact check what we're saying, or if you feel what we're saying ain't so, there is a legal system, right? Now, I personally had experience with this woman working at the National Communications Network, where she attempted something that I know across the board, even even in the dumbest countries in the world, if you're at a management helm, these are things you do not do. All right. Now, I had a personal experience with Molly Hassan when she attempted to write, literally take a pen and write additional deliverables on a contract that I had with NCM. All right. Now, if these are the type of individuals that the government is going to shuffle from one position to another, and you can plainly see that, because how does this individual move from communications to now the oil sector? So I just read a part of an article of uh, of what Demerara Wave said about her resignation. Just play the clip of her talking about, Guy Oil, because now she is general manager at Guy Oil.
Mm.
Yeah.
Day or night at any of Guile's three 24-hour service stations. So we commenced this initiative at 3 service stations for now. That is our Regent Street location, that's 24 hours, Providence or Sheriff Street, all open for 24 hours. So you choose whether day or night you would like to refuel using this new convenient process of payment method. And yes, this method, we are looking to roll this out in Berbice and Essequibo and at all company-owned stations.
Yes, sir.
All right. I want you to do me a favor, right? Now,
Hmm.
I'm the type of guy. I like to tell people they like to listen, but they don't hear,
Yes.
right? So, just to show you something, right? Play it one more time. Just for the
Day
oil.
or night at any of Guile's three 24-hour service stations. So we commenced this initiative at 3 service stations for now. That is our Regent Street location, that's 24 hours, Providence or Sheriff Street, all open for 24 hours. So you choose whether day or night you would like to refuel using this new convenient process of payment method. And yes, this method, we are looking to roll this out in Berbice and Essequibo and at all company-owned stations.
All right.
Hmm.
All right. I don't know if they fully understand, like, how protocol in like a company like that really is supposed to be operating or functioning. But the general manager is not the person that makes that statement. That's the marketing manager's job. All right. Because the marketing manager has got to weave whatever constructive marketing ploys and whatever payment plans and all that into their marketing strategy.
Yes.
So then you actually, let me show you like what is really, in my estimation, like silly, immature. You actually telling people, okay, so Guyal is going to be opening service stations to 24 hours. Um, duh. I think even in small little Caribbean islands, they had that already, and they don't even have the amount of traffic we have. So I mean, what is so phenomenal about opening 24 hours that the marketing manager of the company couldn't handle the market?
Well, to be the devil's advocate, of course,
Yeah, go ahead.
from my understanding is that by the gas stations opening 24 hours, you are now able to come in, please, at 1 o'clock while you're traveling and
Hmm.
swipe your card because that is
Hmm.
what they're implementing the digital system. You could then swipe your card, and it's less likely for another car to drive up on you, rob you of your cash,
Hmm.
and skate off, right?
Well, I appreciate your I appreciate your opinion about saying well being the devil's advocate, but again, those strategies all go through. So hence, all right, let me be the devil's advocate.
Mhm.
What's the purpose of then having the marketing person or their team? Because
Well,
really and truly, rolling out new ideas in terms of the marketing is done through the marketing department.
this is where it's important to understanding when they said
Your
play
role,
your
your
position.
put. Well, this is what I'm saying. Now, if she moves from a position of not understanding, because she did
No, no,
a
no. Hold on,
dismal
right?
job at NCA.
Devil's advocate, Malachi. She
Good.
moved from communications,
So I.
right? No problem with that. She moved from communications
Mm-hmm.
as the CEO,
Uh huh.
right? To the general manager at
Mm-hmm.
Guy Oil,
Mm-hmm.
but continued her job as a communicator. You understand? So naturally, the time that she spent at NCN is the little knowledge that she's really putting out now.
And before NCN was courts.
Well, we can come to court,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But naturally, she is actually playing her position. Now, she might have the wrong position. Yeah, I gotta look into that,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's
Government.
why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying is a square peg in a wrong hole, or a wrong hole in a square peg.
So this is where we gotta make it known. She left from a communications department. She went into oil and gas sector to play the role of a communicator. Because that position, that video, that statement, as you would have mentioned, was supposed to be done by your PR team or your marketing team,
Correct.
right? Now, if you're playing the position, because nobody wants to come and hear the general manager speak and talk about
Well,
all that they
I,
say.
I thought the general manager was working on the day-to-day functionality of the company and the actual
Well, that
running.
is the thing. Should done launch how the car, should done launch how the system. When you don't know when to step back and when to move forward is where the problem does come. Because after you done launching, you're supposed to have the department take over because
Hmm.
you done your job. That is what you're supposed to be getting paid for.
Well,
Excitement.
ah, I tell you, it
Now,
it, it just didn't. It just wasn't. I mean, in my estimation, all right. Um, I think that in the diaspora we do have qualified individuals, which I think are who I know are Guyanese,
of
who
course.
um, you know, are looking for opportunities to return home. As I mentioned earlier, 112,751 people between January to June came to Guyana. And we're talking about comebackies included. All
Mm.
right. Now, a lot of these people are qualified. So I don't understand this hand juggling where you see this person moving around from one entity to the next. And in my estimation, based on my experience with this individual and understanding protocol, when I had a meeting with Molly Hassan and we were discussing my extra services to NCN on my contract, and I saw her reach for a pen and ask HR to bring my contract so she could write. on deliverables onto my contract, I knew that, well, this is insanity. These individuals don't fully understand what it's all about. This is not the way a corporation is run. You cannot take a pen and write on deliverables onto somebody's contract and expect them to function in that role, and without renegotiating their payment plan and their position.
Mm.
So I'm like, you have got to have lost your goddamn mind. And then this individual is the person they move. After she resigns from NCN, because obviously she was a total failure, not understanding the workings of what a communications department is. A matter of fact,
Well,
what
should
has
now get a
happened?
grip a little bit.
What has happened over the years with NCN is that they have put individuals in place in NCN who don't understand the role. I think
Mm.
after Sean Taylor left on the GTV was really the last time,
That was
and
long ago.
that was long. And then the last person who kind of had an idea, he wasn't overall au fait, but he had an idea and he would allow people in the creative field to kind of guide him, was Fuzzy Sitar, who was
Mm.
also there. All right. But then after that, you saw a shift to, in my estimation, having people who,
So
um,
if you could put a year to when Fuzzy left, because he would have been the last competent person to hold the CEO position,
yeah, in
correct?
my estimation, Fuzzy was in the early 2000s. Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, he was. I think in 2009, 2010, 11. Yeah,
all
that's
right.
what. Mm.
So even if we do 15 years, the last 15 years,
Hmm.
right? Everybody in that position have been incompetent.
Of course,
Now,
of course.
from that's from your knowledge, right? From my
Hmm.
knowledge, if I'm going back correctly,
Yeah.
when I was at the age of 12, right?
Hmm.
I'll be 30 now. So between
Yeah.
12 and 30, I got a 4 in maths. Yeah, don't judge me.
Mm.
But between 12 and 30, how much years is that, Malachi?
12 and 13. We're talking 17,
All right.
18 years. Yeah. Somewhere.
So which lines up back within the time that the gentleman was there, right?
Hmm.
So from my knowledge, paying attention to NCN, the radio aspect of things, the television aspect of things in Guyana at a very tender age, and not being inspired enough, especially on TV, right?
Hmm.
To want to join NCN, that already should tell you we had a problem since then.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a long term issue, which
It still
when
is an issue.
it is an issue because when I was there, I was attempting to fix a lot of those issues because I'm working twofold. I was doing radio and the TV. All right. Um,
Mhm.
the the whole idea of what they thought producers were was a total. It was comical to say the least, and this is why I say taking somebody who obviously failed to even understand the basics in communication with NCN, much less to deal with the oil sector, is like, are you
And a
kidding?
high-end position,
On a high end
mind you.
position is ridiculous. Now, if you if you don't even understand, listen, if you don't know production level stuff, get somebody who understands. And if I'm there telling you, if you ask me to give a suggestion, and I'm telling you, producers cannot be held on a time basis at NCN. In other words,
Mm.
I cannot come in and sit down there on a 9 to 5 and you're asking me to produce a program
Hmm.
or produce a short. It makes absolutely no sense. What producers really are supposed to be doing is have a contract that says, for this month, you are supposed to actually deliver these amount of work
Projects. Mm.
projects. All right. So you don't have to get up and go in there for a 9 to 5 because that hinders your ability to go on
Creative
the road.
process.
your creative process. Your research process is hindered because you got to be in there. All right. So because they don't understand it from that perspective, you know already. Well, obviously you got to pirate, which NCN does. You have to pirate from the satellites and stuff like that, which infringes on other people's copyright because you're unwilling to one foster an environment where producers can actually produce content that is yours. All right, and then in order to do that, you would have to look at the issue of IP. All right, because the people who are creating that content, you've got to go through the arrangement with them as well, because they're not going to be working at your company forever, ever, amen. So this is I think is what is some of the issues, maybe some of the burning issues with the issue of intellectual property. But again, in every way, intellectual property is going to be the burning issue for Guyana. We mentioned this on radio a few weeks ago when the American embassy and the Canadian High Commission, the French High Commission, sorry, they had their symposium at the university, hosted at the university, which dealt with trademarks, copyrights, geographical markers, stuff like that. I think a lot more of those, and I think the forum, instead of having them in the University of Guyana, maybe they need to be more of what we would say a bottom house gaff.
Yeah.
Because that is what will bring the masses to the understanding on the issue of IP.
Actually, it was a good initiative, sorry to cut you, right?
Yeah.
To host it at the university.
Yeah.
But what we're supposed to continue doing is to spread out to all the other schools that is involved under the education system.
Yeah.
Right? Because while we were there, I was asking myself some questions as I look and listen at various speakers, right? Especially local speakers. Now, our speakers is lawyers, educators, creators.
Yeah.
Now, if you are creating and you understand the aspect of IP clearly like we do, but you're not lobbying directly, whether you're used to or actively lobbying, you're not.
You're not.
Right?
Yeah.
For the law, and that's with educators. How could you be at the University of Guyana teaching people about IP, teaching creative, hosting events, but you have a system for yourself that allows you to protect said content?
Work from the university.
That is highly.
It's a bit contradictory, but let me be the devil's advocate for this one. In that case, we don't, like the professors and a few other people indicated to me, the drive to understand IP and how it affects their rights is what they don't understand. And I think what with the angle we need to take it from, which I think is the correct way, is people understanding that particular issue, which is called your rights.
Yes.
All right. Now, if you take it from the perspective of them understanding their rights too, they will then say, okay, well, then I have the rights to this and I should be benefiting a lot more from it. All right. Because ownership of ideas, writings, artwork, all that stuff comes on the IP that once used, you get paid for. You know, even the case where we find, for example, the Ministry of Culture streaming events, and for example, the private guys streaming events. I wonder if they fully understand the rules. What happens when you stream, and a lot of the artists who are on the show are not even properly registered.
It's clear they don't. It is clear they don't understand. Now, we'll take a quick recess and run some ads because we do have a couple things to share with you guys, and we'll be right back with the conversation, of course.
Yep.
Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Bone vampire entire.
It's special. Give me. Alright. I love to feel your body when it's close to mine. When you and I become as one, it sends a thrill through me when we move to the melody. Come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your ways, you raise my passion. Yes, come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your ways.
Tell you what I want. When the Rasta man them come together like the torch and the wicked catch a fire. Tell you what I want. When they get to you, them try fi better and the system try fi turn them in a shatter. Tell you what I want. One Babylon highly Selassie rain down lightning and thunder. Tell you what I want. Tell you what I want. Yeah.
Stars among stars. We. Lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes! Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie, this one is international.
All right, and we are back with you guys. Now, of course, we had to promote our own, right? Now, multiple reasons for that. Our topic, of course, is politics meet entertainment, and this is a part 2 segment. Now, all the music that you would have heard just now is Guyanese artists, one by the name of Archangel and the other by the name of Militant, right? Now, these are some of the best, no, hold on, the most and highest selling artists, Guyanese, today, right? Some of the most creative and talented personnels. And while they may not be popular in Guyana.
Exactly.
Them man up on tour chilling.
Yep.
You understand? These guys are living a decent life from their creative aspect.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
From
the only unfortunate part about that, sorry to cut you, Martin, is that a lot of them want to, as we know, they've told us, hey man, I prefer to be at home. But unfortunately, the enabling environment for them to be at home is what we have been crying for, what we have been lobbying for, what we have been advocating for. But people not understanding that, hey, if you don't have that environment, it's very difficult for you to do certain things that you want to do. You know, because how do you benefit?
That is some of the reason that we exist mostly outside of Guyana.
Yeah.
right? Because even with doing radio, we're doing podcasts as we are right now.
Yeah, yeah.
We can't make no money from this
Mm-mm.
unless it is registered in the US or
Yeah.
any other territory that enables the IP
IP,
system to function.
exactly. The IP system to function.
We could go
Guyana
to
doesn't.
neighboring countries like Brazil,
Hmm.
and actually, we would be way better off. We could go to Trinidad. We still got to fight a couple things over there, but we could go to Jamaica, as we see Natural Black did, turn a
Hmm.
Jamaican, and be way better off. We could go Barbados. You understand?
Ah.
If I'm
Hmm.
correct, even Venezuela are
Hmm.
covered with the IP.
Hmm.
So if all of these neighboring countries understand, right,
Hmm.
to protect themselves, protect their people, what happened
Correct.
to Guyana? And just to be fair, it's not like we didn't understand or we don't understand. We choose not to
Yeah.
adhere to certain rules and regulations.
Yeah. We just choose not to, and we choose maybe not to rejoin certain, you know, certain bodies and abide by certain rules and laws.
Correct. Well, in my estimation, I would say we choose to thieve the money and not put it in various places that it needs to be
Well,
actually.
as it is right now, as it stands right now, we stand to lose more, because in the 112,000 individuals who came into Ghana from January to June, we know that people are coming as scouts because they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for locations, they're looking for all kinds of stuff. As a matter of fact,
Yep.
even I think just before the oil situation got big, Cinemax and I think HBO were in Guyana looking for locations,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they were also looking to get a efficient camera crew, just as good as the ones they have.
As the, yeah.
But they realized, hey, you know what? Although we have maybe we got some qualified individuals, because I was one of the persons who was involved in the President's Film Endowment project through the University of Ghana and also through the University of Boston. Um, I left that program as a qualified film director, which which I felt good of because I knew I had the basic working knowledge because I started off as an entrepreneur creating ads.
Mm.
And a lot of people across Guyana have seen my ads, but they don't know it's me. One of my most popular ads is the ads that the company Cvons ran for numerous years, almost 20 years. Um, with the guy holding his nose and looking at the toilet and say, "Ugh," and all that. So all of that was my creation. Even for the popular boutique in Georgetown, Lifestyles Boutique, all those productions are mine. So even back then, I understood that, listen, I should be making money off of my creations. And
Mm-hmm.
what I used to do was to implement a system where, okay, I'll create the ad, you pay me for it, which operates kind of like a lease. I hold the ad. You will then tell me, okay, where you want it placed. So then I will then get a percentage of what your costs are to place. And in many times, well, on many occasions, the cost for placement is way more per station than what it costs you to do the production. All right. So I used to use that as a simple means of garnishing my royalties for my work.
Mm.
All right. Because of course we know Guyana doesn't have copyright laws, and that brings me back to where, um, you know, politics meets entertainment. Because even if we look back in time and we look at the case with Rudy Grant and Banks' issue with using his song "Machine Guyana" in a commercial without his permission and not paying for that use, it shows that, hey, one, we have to educate our people to have a respect for our content creators.
Yeah.
whether it be writing, singing, dancing, whatever aspect of it. And Guyana was very, very culturally expressive at one point, because this is why Guyana had the largest cultural center in the Caribbean for its time. All right.
So you're
And
saying
still,
that culture center or that is decaying was the largest in the Caribbean?
yeah, yeah, at one point in 1975, 76, yeah, that's the largest cultural center there was in the Caribbean.
Now it goes to show, right, Malachi?
Hmm.
We're building several stadiums across the country,
Yeah, it's a
and
talking.
we're allowing one culture center to die out.
Yeah, we're neglecting to bolster the arts, because
Hmm.
cultural centers are supposed to be in Linden, cultural centers are supposed to be
In
in
each
Berbice,
region.
in each region. All right,
Each region.
we are
Now,
supposed to be fostering our cultural expressions and environment. The first play I ever saw at the cultural center was one that never left me to this day, and I'm a big man now, which had to do with the whole mermaid. You remember the whole mermaid myth?
yes.
The first time and the most impactful and impressive um, stage show I've ever seen was at the Cultural Center. And it was dealing with this whole mermaid myth. And I never forgot it, because it was this guy. I think I saw it when I was about 5, right?
Mm.
And he had afro, all right? Back then it was the afro look. Everybody had big hair, like my uncle Walter Rodney. And what happened is that he was fishing at a creek, all right? And out of the creek comes this mermaid, and she makes this pact with him and says, okay, well, I'm going to give you something. And once you always wear this something, you can't have another woman on the land. You have to have me and me alone. So she gives him this afro pick, which is gold, right? And there's a whole plot behind it. Things go good for him, but he's still miserable because he don't have a woman on the land, and it the whole conflict, right? But that was one of the most impactful plays I've ever seen coming out of Guyana when I was small. All right. Now, if we could have done that then, and we haven't for the last, what, 5 decades, we haven't had another cultural center.
Something
That
wrong.
speaks a lot. Exactly. It speaks a lot to, the thought pattern of not only the people in Guyana, but the powers that be, because
Politicians.
the politicians, because if you put these things in place, people will go, because there are people in the environment that want these spaces to be able to create, but they
Mhm.
can't, because the spaces aren't there. All right. Now, the National Cultural Center is basically used as like the premiere to exhibit a big show. It usually starts at like the Theater Guild first, and then moves over to the big stage. So the National Cultural Center is like the big stage.
But
But
how much theaters do we have?
no, we have the Theater Guild in Georgetown. I don't know what's going on in Linden. I don't know what's going on in Berbice. We definitely know we don't have a major cultural center in Linden and a major
Mm.
one in Berbice. And those are things like we said, and we've said on radio. The Minister of Culture, Youth, and Sport really has to focus on anything else outside of stadiums and tracks, because yes, we do have
We got
runners.
enough for the
Yeah, we got enough of them. Because, and then why doesn't he do a research that gives him a better idea of the percentage of where these runners and stuff come from before you go and build a track somewhere where how many people gonna go on you? How many actual athletes live in that area that are gonna use that track?
well, then obviously this is where the money stiffing comes in, right? Because if you're getting a certain amount of billions of dollars and you have to spend it in a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of time, then you're gonna go build a fancy state-of-the-art stadium in places like Berbice,
Mm-hmm.
which have not a lot of athletes compared to building a state-of-the-art stadium in Linden, where we know enough of them people like to run up the hill
Mm-hmm.
from small.
And incidentally, a lot of Guyanese creative artists came from Linden, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, a lot of them.
So
You know what I mean?
Politics, because let's deal with the PPP aspect, right? Because Linden has always been a stronghold for the opposition, which is the PNC, because they are mostly Afro Guyanese, right? They haven't really put any type of money into that area, right? The Linden area, no matter which part or which area of business you're in, the government really and truly haven't put any money into Linden. Now, let's deal with the opposition when they was in power. Them too haven't put any money in Linden, even though that is their strongholds. You understand me?
Yeah.
The problem is, as the vice president would have shared a post recently on his page, right? I'm pulling it up. He would have shared a post showing, well, let's not forget that there have been other parts, right, where people teeth in. Right?
Yeah.
Let me lighten it up a bit for y'all.
Yes, so that they could read it.
So it's a bunch of news clippings put together. Right? But indeed, let we not forget, Malachi, that this existed. Well, government pays 265 million in rent. Right?
For a Sussex Street drug ban. Yeah, that yo, right? bro, that was some of the craziest
and
stuff.
We could continue.
Yeah.
But y'all could go check it out. Since it's elections and everybody throwing their stones here and there at each other.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, this is on the vice president's page. And this is being thrown out at the APNU AFC party. Right? Obviously, we see they got their own division happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's total chaos. I mean, now, I was trying to pull up the information where it talked about one female PNC party member crossing the floor and going over to AFC, but I'm yet to get confirmed the information on that. I don't want to hear see.
All right then.
So we're gonna confirm.
Let me see she in a red shirt first. Once you see she in a red shirt, you know for sure that it.
Yeah, well, we know for a fact it's not gonna be a red shirt, but it's
a blue.
No, a green and yellow.
No man, she left it from the green and yellow, innit?
No, she left it from the green and go over to the green and yellow.
I thought it was blue and yellow. The confusing man.
No man. You remember AFC is a yellow key with the Guyana green?
I think they have the there's now what Nigel use controlling right now.
Yes, he's the leader.
Nah, that is blue and yellow, man. That is nicely blue and yellow. Because I've seen it the other night, and this will look very catchy with the eyes.
All right,
so let's blue and yellow now.
Let me pull up the AFC. The AFC.
So as I was saying earlier, as Malachi pulled it up, right? Now we are electing a body of people, right, to hold accountable for certain things for our benefit as Guyanese, and yet we're not benefiting. Creative wise, we haven't been able to benefit ever. Right? Sports wise, we now getting a couple stadiums and things. It's gonna be nice, but what are we gonna do with it? What are we gonna do with Harlem Stadium that is being built? I could tell you now, we're gonna host cricket every time it come around. We're gonna host all the major events every time it come around.
I don't know if you can see it, Martin, but I'm sorry. It's green and yellow.
Well, my bad.
Yeah, it's green and yellow.
I would have sworn I seen Nigel in a blue shirt.
No, he probably had on a blue shirt, but the actual colors of the AFC party is the yellow and green. So is green to yellow and green. You know?
So we need to have some type of unity within our departments, right? Ministry of Education, we are seeing a problem on that side. Obviously, you're gonna see problems if we have uneducated people leading certain parts of Guyana, right? In the tourism department, how much thousand people we had, Malachi? 150 something, 112?
112,751. 112,751 people between January to June of this year.
How much tourism were we able to show these people? Because
Capitalize on.
we're not a big tourist country,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we got 112,000 people coming in,
Yeah.
where did we take these people? We're from January to now.
What cultural experience of Guyana did they have? Or do we just base cultural experiences on the rum bottle?
Let me break it down from my knowledge. And of course, yeah, I could correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I would want to say at least 80% of the 112,000 came to and from the oil and gas sector.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
10%,
Most of the persons coming in are for the oil and gas sector.
10% came for the entertainment,
Mhm.
which is the big chutney festivals that goes down every so often.
Yeah. Clash of the Titans, the
the
Burbees Fest.
matrimony,
Yeah.
and every other thing that we would have celebrated because we like party. We're a bunch of people that like party for some reason. We always never have money, but we always never broke either when it comes to having a good time.
No,
we
they
had
would
what,
have
several.
they'd have a good time, and then when school opens, bro, then is when you hear people complaining about, oh, they think this was too small or this ain't working.
The cash advance and thing, the cash grants. This is the problem that we have. We want to continue getting a handout instead of actually asking for what belongs to you.
Belongs to you. You know, and this is the funny thing about it. I mean, why would I settle for a handout when I know if the right environment, the right laws are in place, I could benefit way more than whatever handouts I could get. Because an IP regime in a country like Guyana, no. And no longer can Guyana say, oh, you know, we're part of the HIPIC nation, we're a poor country, so we can't afford it. No.
Not gone.
No, the ability to say that now has gone. You know, if the issue, like I asked I asked President Ali in New York about the issue of the textbooks. No, sorry, I asked him about the issue of IP. And he, in return, answered me by saying, well, you know, we're trying to ensure that our children have textbooks. I guess in reference to the fact that if IP laws come into effect, it would affect the ability for them to provide effective education through the books, because it will then have a regime on the books. But then there's a solution to that, because incidentally, I used to live in a very small island, and they had a regime that I found that was innovative, where if you're going into first form, the second formers will leave the textbooks for the first formers. The third formers will then leave the books for the second formers. The fourth formers would leave the books for the third formers. And so it went. All right. Now, if you collected your series of books and they were overly damaged and weren't able to pass on to the next class, then you would have to pay for them. All right. But those are all property of the school. All right. You could go out there and you could buy your textbooks if you want to, but the school affords you the ability to take the textbook home without paying, except that you've got to keep them in a certain condition. All right. So I think Guyana is more than in a position. Excuse me.
Of course,
M-
man.
more
We
than
have
in a
too
position.
much too much finance, Malachi,
No, it's not even from the
at hand.
financial. This is not even from the financial aspect I'm talking about first. We have sufficient bargaining power that
Mm.
our foreign minister, Mr. Todd, can go and negotiate with a team, for example, with Oxford out of the UK, with Longman out of the Caribbean, with all these book providers who provide textbooks across the Caribbean. Because if the Caribbean territories are able to get those arrangements, I think we are also able to get those arrangements. It's just that
And
we haven't explored them as yet.
no, that is the thing. You can't even say we haven't explored it because, as we know, individuals from these organizations or corporations are approaching officials,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whether it be in the IP area or anything else,
Hmm.
especially now. They approaching the government and letting them know, hey, this is what we have.
Yeah.
This is what we're offering. It is the government's job to now say, well, these are the stuff we need. Let us start executing or Xing off things from our
Well, well,
checklist.
we gotta say the last thing we heard on the IP issue was from the Attorney General, where he said that he'll be looking to CARICOM, all right, for help. And
Malachi, we sent out aid. We had a hurricane happening in the neighboring countries recently, right?
yeah,
The from the time of Sunday to Monday to this Tuesday, we already sent out aid since morning to help these brothers and sisters in the most affected areas. How hard is it to pick up your phone and make a phone call and ask for a copy of your document or Google and look at the IP laws in Jamaica, in Barbados, in Trinidad, in Brazil?
well, on that issue, now that you mentioned that and you brought it up now, at one point in time, and people can go back on our pages, the Rush Ghana Industry Show, as well as our Majestic, we were on there every day of the week. We had a prominent, not only CARICOM lawyer, but a very prominent lawyer in Jampro in Jamaica involved in their industry.
Mm.
And he himself mentioned to us on the interview that it was quite surprising that Guyana, of all the territories, is not involved with IP because the mere fact that the CARICOM headquarters is based in Guyana is enough for them to look at that issue and get it corrected because all the other territories are on board with that.
Yep.
So
Even
how could we
Haiti
not?
got protection.
I mean, how could we not? How could we not protect our culture and our cultural identity?
We
Oh,
are.
and just on a side, just before you come in, Martin, just on
Mhm.
a side, um, VP, Vice President, reach out to us because there was a court case that yourself and the then Minister Robert Prasad was involved in.
Mm.
Um, that we have very vital information. It's not hidden information. It's about the IP in particular. All right, and the whole issue that happened in that court case. So we're free to provide some advice on that particular issue.
You're
But
free to provide some advice. I
not
come with a cost.
yeah, no, I when I say free, they're free to call, but that advice is gonna cost. It's gonna cost, you know.
Um, Malachi, it is honestly, in my opinion, unacceptable or inacceptable, right?
Mm,
To see certain things just playing out on a regular and
hmm.
not being able to make any changes to it because obviously I don't have the power of the pen, right? I may have the ears of a few, but I
Yeah.
don't have the power of a pen or the pen to put things in place when it comes to parliament, when it comes to, lobbying. Anybody could lobby, but at the same time, you have to really gather the ears of the politicians. Now,
Hmm.
if we have politicians, well, at this point, I know not to count on the PNC because they would have been in power forever. almost, and done nothing. They was actually a part of the problem, the creators of the problem.
They created the issue in the first place.
Right?
They created the issue in the first place.
The current government, as much as vice president would want to put out and call out the opposition, y'all are aiding and abetting the problem. Back in the days, my mother used to say, a liar is a thief and a thief is a murderer. You can't trust none of them. So if you're upholding, as some said, the uphold is worse than the thief. This is why people go to jail.
Obviously upholding a system that is inimical to the development of the Guyanese creatives. All right? Because show me a Guyanese creative that is benefiting from their craft wholly and solely. They're able to pay their bills. They're able to, if they're renting, they can drive a vehicle. Show me that.
And that exists, man. Not on these grounds. And that is the unfortunate that we have to live in. For some reason, we can't seem to get it together. Now,
this is what causes part of the brain drain. Because people who are in that sector, and I can point this out. There was a guy by the name of Mark. I'm forgetting his last name right now. He used to live through Springview Avenue to Kaikan Street in South Ranville. He used to do bamboo work. All right. He was involved in Guy Expo and stuff like that. All right. Mark used to be struggling. You know, the other day I saw a documentary on St. Vincent Expo, and they're talking about their very renowned artist, Mark, with his bamboo creations. So I was like listening to the voice, and then the face came on camera and he was talking. I was like, Mark, St. Vincent. So basically, another talent who learned how to manipulate, shape the bamboo, and to do all kinds of fancy stuff with bamboo and create some craft, couldn't make it in this country because obviously we don't have an enabling environment for certain things. So then he leaves and is able to do that now and be recognized by St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mind you, it's a territory with way less people than Guyana. Way less.
When they say it takes a village, I ain't sure if we got the right village, Malachi. Now, I'm looking forward to, because elections is coming, obviously we won't be able to influence all 5,000 youths that the vice president and the president is looking to have in the youth group, the youth arm. We might not be able to
influence 5,000 creatives. Trust me.
Not even because they don't even stand up for themselves. What I want to know, what I want to see now, because we are currently having a lawyer, active lawyer, one of the most prominent lawyers, I kind of want to say, right, in Guyana, who's going to be running for that presidential seat. Now, is he going to put this on his manifesto?
Well, again, let us see what these parties, and this is why I said, you see, Guyanese have to move away from the race-driven politics more to the policy-driven politics. So when we say we want to bring together the creatives, it's for the very reason of, in order for us to exercise a voice, we got to exercise a vote.
Yep.
All right? That's the only way you get the politicians to say, okay, hey, this is a serious group of people, because they are swaying our votes from one side to the next. So we have to appease, or we got to listen to what they're saying. That's the only way you bring politicians to the table, or else they will continue to delay and delay and delay. And like a lot of the artists say, they're getting old and by this and that. And up to the other day, we were talking to somebody who we had to tell them about streaming these very artists' music to the rest of the world without certain things.
Think that it's an ever-growing problem.
Yeah, the ministry should have had people on their team that knew the issue and know, okay, well, no, we couldn't possibly set this up. We have to record this and we have to put some things in place so that these artists benefit from their work. Then
You
we
know,
can only hire artists who are registered, which they didn't even have a clue.
one thing that I think is gonna help Guyanese open their eyes. If 50% of Guyanese are able to travel and not just go out to Guyana and leave, but to go and visit and come back. You see that made in US or made in China, and now we have it made in Guyana sign,
Yeah,
that stamp, that seal.
logo.
People don't understand the power
Yeah,
of that stamp. Everything that we have, or almost everything, is stamped made in China.
hmm
China would have learned how to monopolize.
on. A matter of fact, speaking about that very issue, Martin, you remember the other day I was telling you on radio that there's this very famous. I'm going to try to find the video so we can play it next Tuesday. But there's
Mhm.
this very famous rapper now, and he was wearing a jacket, like a sweater, and he had the Guyanese flag on it.
Yeah.
So we
We've seen
find people,
movies with the
yeah, people
Guyanese flag
outside
and
again,
things in it.
and people even mentioning Guyana. Although in the Ozarks, I didn't really like the reference to Guyana as the money laundering capital and all them things.
Well, are they lying? I mean, let's let's see
Well,
if hold
based on the
on, right?
report from the American embassy
That's what I'm gonna say.
with that 50 million owed, we definitely know. Hey, I mean,
So
they were
were they referencing the big family?
no, they
Because it
weren't.
would make sense. I
Well,
mean,
we
hold
don't
on
know.
now, 50 million went missing. Them Ozark people had money rolling through. We ain't know
Well,
who's these by his connections.
yeah, well, they had to
Besides,
know
man.
something, something.
We got other Netflix series that people like Arnold what's the name, Arnold Schwarzenegger would have acted in, and they would
Oh,
have claimed, well, the film parts in Guyana. When I look at it, I like, we jungle don't look like that with nice pine wood and them side of thing.
no,
That is not
no,
Guyana.
no, it's fake.
But just the fact that they want to use the name, they want to have our culture in dating,
Exactly.
and we don't even respect we own thing.
hmm hmm
We need to open our eyes at the end of the day, accept that we haven't literally gone anywhere with
I'm going to
anything.
guarantee you this, right, Martin?
Mhm.
You know, the James Bond franchise, at some point in time, they're going to come to Guyana.
Of course.
All right. Now, I mentioned this before, and I suggested that the government look at the issue. There's a company called Remax that used the Kaicho Falls in an ad I saw
In the
on
ad.
Facebook,
Mm.
right? And I was like, who gave them permission to do that? Because you just can't use Guyana's one of Guyana's cultural icon things to create an ad for a foreign company. Where is our intellectual property protection or the royalties for the use of that?
Yep.
So our government needs to understand, hey, there's money lost
Money
and
to begin.
money to be gained. There's also an entire industry to be created by moving the laws forward in IP for the creatives, because we're not only talking about music, and I think everybody kind of zooms in and says, oh, because they talk a lot about music, music is IP. No, it's just a small aspect of IP. So we have writers in Guyana, some of the best writers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have some actors as well who take the stage. We have people who have attempted to create movies. Henry Rodney, I think he's passed away now. You know, um, that were involved in movie production and all of that right here in Guyana, where they shot in the cane fields and all of that. So we have to understand the variables that goes along with IP, and IP really is anything that comes from the mind. Inventions, creations, songs, books, designs, architecture. We're talking everything that comes from the mind. So once we understand that, I think, and this again is the education of the population to understand their rights in what it is that they do. People are going to understand that, listen, we need this more than anything else. Because, for example, we have a lot of these, we got Nikki's Fish Shop, we got White Castle Fish Shop, we got all these fish shops in Georgetown and all over. Now, have they looked into, okay, when I do my thing, I want to be able to protect my unique logo. Outside of my logo, I want to be able to protect my unique recipe that I use to prepare my fish that makes my thing different to everybody else thing. Do they get the education to understand it at that level? What really is the job of the Guyana marketing agency? Because next week I can do a little talking about them because I also had an experience with them, and trying to get them to understand that packaging is important for products.
Yep.
If you're gonna manufacture a product here in Guyana, it's got to have excellent packaging going out to the world because it's got to be able to compete
Not
on
even
the
not even just
international market.
excellent. It
Yeah,
needs to have specific packaging
yeah,
because certain things are not accepted in
correct.
the US, in UK, in Canada.
Mm-hmm,
So it needs to be very specific and tailored to their market also,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? Because as we know, the Coca-Cola that we drink in America is very different from Mexico, is way different from the UK, and is far different from
Yeah, from
Guyana.
Ghana, yeah. Of course, of course.
So we need to pay attention to everything and
Mm-hmm.
in between and continue to move forward. We need
Hmm.
to have various ministries working together,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Ministry of Education, Ministry of Tourism. Because how much people did we had amongst these 112,000,
yep.
right? People that visited. How much education did we pack down? Because I'm pretty sure everybody come together and see, well, these clown fighting over the education system. They can't even get it together right. I thought America was bad. You understand? The
Yeah.
people can come and see all of them. They're gonna come and see, well, but tourism ain't really giving no flyer at the airport to market and say Kaichur, this falls, the falls, this area, the area. Them ain't giving no pamphlet, no brochure, no nothing as we come in the country. How are we supposed to know? Now, there are a couple of flyers sitting outside in the way, the alleyway of the airport as you walk through, but not much of
It's
anything.
not, it's not much of anything because really and truly, if you are operating in the spectrum of the Ministry of Tourism, you're really looking to market Guyana's unique selling product, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is the niche, and that
Correct.
niche is the eco side of it. Now, if we're going to be promoting the eco side of it, now if you look at the Guyana, not the Guyana Today Show in the US, you see how we copy everything is a copy or a knockoff, right? Now we see islands like Barbados, Antigua, Jamaica will advertise. We see collaborations with major franchise hotels that help also to advertise these very territories. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
look at, for example, Sandals, Sandals is in Jamaica, they're in Barbados, they're in Antigua. All right. So every time a sandal, there is a Sandals Antigua, there's a Sandals Barbados, there's a Sandals Jamaica, and they market it from those perspectives. Now, we are an ecotourism country, and we don't have an ad that says if you really want to know what it is like to be the first man, come to the land before time. And you got a shot of Mount Roraima, that platform that has been there for billions of years, that mountaintop. Now, they have to think creative. I mean, I don't even think TAG, the Tourism Association of Guyana, they're not, I don't know what are their constraints, but I would think by now they should be thinking, okay, we had to have something like that on the Today Show in the US and certain major media companies playing
Buddy,
it so that we could
how are
attract.
they gonna have that, Malachi, when we have an education problem? So people not learning about it. We have a communication problem. People moving from communications to oil, right?
Mm,
Everything
yeah.
just sliding right through. We have a management problem whereby nobody knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
Excitement.
And
We
don't know
have the
and don't
major
know when to
problem.
yield to the other part of the business so that they can function.
Exactly. So if we
Yeah,
have these major problems, education, management, and lack of understanding in general, we can't move forward. Because tourism would put up stuff on their page like they did with the informing people, well, we had enough visitors.
yeah.
But then what exactly did we offer these enough visitors?
You know what I
Because
would like to see? You know what I
mhm.
would like to see? Did they mention the revenue garnered from the 112,000 entries and stuff?
How them gonna mention enough people come for the ad money? American people take their money and kite back to America, Maji. So we
I know
cannot
that.
be able to garner anything.
Hmm.
We not get nothing. The visitors come, collect the money, and went back. The most would have spent is on the experience of the market. But if you go into border market and big market and ask the vendors, how much money did you actually make from January to now? It haven't been much different from December to last January.
You know what we're gonna? I'm gonna definitely do a survey on that from January to June and see what, for example, what has been the climate in border market. Um,
I guarantee you it's almost the same thing, brother. Trust me.
mhm.
Because nobody is gonna step in place. GRA, how much taxes did we collect from airport tax, from traveling, from hotel, from cleanup, from everything
Mhm.
that we had? How much money we actually collect? The man can't tell you, brother.
But check this out. While we're on that issue of collecting,
Mm.
when we mentioned IP a little earlier, little do they know that when we say collecting taxes on the hotel, they've also got to collect the taxes on the airing of people's content in those places,
Come
in
on, man.
hotels, in the conference, in the very conference rooms that the governments may have their cocktail dinners and stuff. That music that plays very softly in the background is supposed to be paid for if they
Hmm.
don't know, you know. So this is where, the IP issue really affects everything, and people just believe, no, it really doesn't. It does.
So let me highlight that a little bit, right? The last part you said,
Mhm.
with the music being played in the small gatherings and conferences and so on, that
Yeah.
these politicians like to hold because we like to party.
Mhm.
Now, when the president came out and danced to a couple song,
Michael Jackson.
right? Did he pay Michael Jackson estate a license fee to use that song so that he could come out and have a very jolly time? Now, let's say he would have used a Guyanese musician song, because I know they got some artists that created, nice theme song for the president come out and rap to.
Wait, when you mentioned that, all you got to do, if you want a reference point, go back to when we were on the threat of invasion from Venezuela, and the most covered song ever for that time period was "A
Was
Blade of
Dave
Grass."
Martin.
was
Yeah.
Dave Martin.
Dave,
Ask Dave Martin
anybody.
today how much money he made off of all them covers of his song during the period.
Now let me break it down, right? How finance works and royalties and the IP works. Dave Martin owns the IP for that track. The government would have been paying a blanket license to use Execrable belongs to we own
So,
or whatever the song they say,
exactly.
right?
Even those phrasings.
Good. So the government would have paid a bread to Dave Martin. Dave Martin, he collect 1 million in royalties. He have to pay taxes on his money
Exactly.
coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
because we have no rotation, you ain't paying, he ain't getting, so he can't pay back. So none of we can
Stagnation.
benefit. All of we
Stagnation.
suffering. The
Mm-hmm.
producers can't get paid, the radio can't get paid, the creator can't get paid, the graphic man, nobody can get paid.
Nobody can
The
get paid.
GRA now still suffering, Dave Martin suffering, and everybody just still execrable belong to we.
Mm-hmm.
The government should have been making money from the use of execrable belongs to us.
So we look how long. Look how long. Look how long. You know, Dave Martin should be making some money. I mean, unfortunately, it just so happens that, you know, a lot of our stalwarts, even people like Aubrey Cummins and stuff, they passed off. And, you know, a lot of people don't even know who these guys were.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of years, I think Guyanese gonna forget and all who is Patches and Cracker Jack and them guys.
Sure.
You understand?
Honestly,
And
Malachi, you gotta do better.
what I'm telling you, and why we talk about music, because one, music is a unifying factor, and if you're really thinking about unity in a country, and we're talking about one Guyana, it's through the music.
Mm-hmm.
At least the basic concept Charles Ramson may have, because holding the show, yeah, you're getting to the music, but what you're doing is not understanding the regime in order to really bring the best talent out of Guyana. You have to have that regime, because music is not I like you, so yeah, you on the show. It's about your ability to compete, and not only with the arts, the arts or the artistry in Guyana,
No
but across the
competition.
region. Exactly. They don't seem to want any competition. They just want to say, okay, well, you know, it's we own.
Well,
But then at the same time you say it's we own, you want to have international acclaim or international recognition. How does that work or play hand in hand? And you know, when we in these conversations, you know, the time just fly out in a jiffy. But just before we go, I gotta tell people again, do go to the Caribbean Music Award website. It's on. Make sure you get your vote in early. Hopefully, the time for registration and getting your votes in hasn't passed as yet. But check out their website and see where you could possibly say, okay, well, hey, I can nominate a Guyanese artist in this
I think
particular category.
that phase already faded out.
Yeah,
Because
I think that is already passed.
we crunching down the actual date of the awards. So they would have already announced nominees and these sort of things from what I've been seeing and the updates I've gotten.
And the updates, yeah.
So unfortunately, again, we not get no Guyanese artists in there, no Guyanese creators, no nothing, nobody being recognized. So we gotta wait on them rap awards. As we wrap up, Malachi, I think I would have said my 2 cents throughout the night.
Yeah.
But I encourage all government officials, I encourage the possible government officials to take warning, man. Yeah, listen to me, I like.
Look at the issue. I mean, the US government was here and they were talking to you about the issue. It's a serious issue. It's going to affect a lot of things in the future. And if you're thinking about the future of our children, you have to think about how do we integrate this IP situation now?
Mr. Nigel, Huge, since you're running for office as a lawyer, I would like to see
on
IP
your manifesto.
on your bill.
Well,
right?
I would encourage the VP and President Ali and those people who know us from the government. Think about
To
the
put
IP
no,
issue.
I
Put
won't
that
tell them.
IPs.
I won't tell them. If you've been in power and you haven't done it, let a new man come and at least try to do it, and let me see what's gonna happen.
Well, something
Yes,
got to
right?
happen.
Because we know for sure if he put it on he bill, they can put it on their bill. Y'all
Well,
have a good night.
well, before we go, gotta drop that disclaimer: the views and the opinions voiced at this program do not necessarily reflect those of Majestic Music Radio, its staff, management, and other people associated, but are those solely of the host, the panel. Tonight, Selector Sherwin was unable to join us in studio, unfortunately. Of course, next week, he's going to try to be here. But of course, we always tell you, we're all working, guys. There's so much to accomplish. We'll be on tour soon, so I don't know how. We probably got to do some pre-records, but we try not to do that because we want to bring you,
Well, we
stuff
don't
that's
have to
hot.
do pre-records because we could broadcast on tour.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
that
man.
too.
Of course, look out for the artist Archangel. He is a Barn Buxtonian, right?
Yep, Barn Buxtonian.
Barn Guyanese, Barn Buxtonian.
Yeah.
From the heart and the culture of what is called now the Afro Guyanese. So make sure y'all support. Well, for the Guyanese who's overseas in places like California, Seattle, Atlanta, Miami,
Oregon,
and so forth. Yeah, come out, support the artist then because he will be performing at several events in California and across the US.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Look out for Militant Canada.
Yes.
We still got
Militant will be in Canada.
Those ticket giveaways to give out on the radio program.
Yeah. We can get a run out at least by Friday, which is coming. So we can get that giveaways start going. So
on
for people
rush.
in Guyana, people in Canada, people in the US, we have tickets for you guys for Militant and both Archangel for Reggae on the River. You know, we got a couple passes. We got to treat we people nice, man.
Yeah, so you could go and witness your own people rock the world.
Let me enjoy some good music, good atmosphere.
Good
all
vibes.
Right? But
man.
do have a very pleasant night. We appreciate all the listeners, of course. This is the conversation. Every Tuesdays, we try to have the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, from 7. Sometimes we can't start at 7, but we just come to y'all regardless.
Yeah, you know the time difference because Selector Sherwin sometimes I'm in another territory, Marty's in another territory, so time differences. But forgive us for those things. But thanks for being here with us. Check us out next Tuesday, same time, same station.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh. Run, come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, cause so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Ooh, go so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Chase them vulture. Ooh, cause so with your badness. We know you're not slackness. This a Rasta business. Ooh, run, come give me the roots and culture. Bone vampire entire.
It's passion. Give me. I love to feel your body when it's close to mine. When you and I become as one, it's an
it catch a fire. Tell you what I whoa. When they get to you, them try fi better, and the system try fi turn them in a shatter. Tell you what I whoa. One Babylon, highly selective, rain down, lightning and thunder. Tell you what I whoa. Tell you what I whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stars among stars. We. Lights, camera, someone.